I'm going to give you guys just a bit of an overview for what we're looking at here today. We're going to start off this series by covering the basics of streaming. I'm going to run you through the process of 2 setups for 2 different streaming platforms. I want you guys to, if you don't know already, at least be able to leave this stream knowing how to use a couple of the platforms that are out there. And probably my favorite part of this stream today is going to be talking about good streaming etiquette. I watch streams all the time, and there are just some things that I'm like, oh no, like, don't do that. I'm gonna run you through a couple things, just some good practices and things to keep in mind, even though I'm probably breaking half of them. Here are the rules, here's the goal, but you don't always have all of these options available to you, especially now with the quarantine and everything else. If you're stuck at home, I have access to all kinds of gear when I'm in our office in Santa Monica, but I'm at home right now, so it's like, shoot, got to work with what you got, The cameras that I typically use, we have a pretty robust selection of gear in the office, and right now I am streaming on a 6-year-old webcam that is mounted to a mic stand. So in 720, which was literally killing me when I was setting this up. I'm like, I'm streaming in 720, like everything in me was dying a little bit, but you know what? Like I said, got to make it work. Do the best you can with what you got. So I'm using this older Logitech. I'm sure you guys are familiar with it if you know anything about streaming cameras. It's probably the most common webcam there is. I wouldn't say it's like a beast. I wouldn't say it's super impressive. It's just kind of, it is what it is, and it gets the job done. There are a few companies that make products that are just about impossible to get a hold of right now. One of them is the Logitech web cameras. I mean, it's like, good luck. Another one is Elgato, who makes capture cards, and we'll get into what a capture card is a little bit later, and then we'll really dive into how to use it in a future stream. And then the third is actually Apogee mics. They are selling like hotcakes right now. It's insane. Everyone's like, I'm stuck at home, I have to make content, get me an Apogee mic. So if you have even one of the 3 things that I just mentioned, you're already way ahead of the game, so props to you. So I've got my Logitech camera. I'm using a ring light, which you guys are probably familiar with them, probably. It's the equivalent of, you see this professional ring light for $297? Yeah, it's basically the equivalent of that, except for it was like 18 bucks. So that's what I'm rocking. Oh yeah, and that's it. Oh, well, and obviously, you guys can see it here, Apogee mic. So I don't have the stream open. I don't know how it sounds. I would love to hear from you in the comments how it sounds. So one of the things that I notice very frequently in live streams, it's easy to get, decent quality video now, especially if you're streaming from your camera, because there are all kinds of different smartphones, right? But I have an iPhone. The iPhone camera is outrageously good. So it's years ahead of my webcam that I'm using right now. And if I was streaming from my phone, I would absolutely be using that and it would look great. The Apogee Hype mic, it has something that no other microphone has ever done, no other digital microphone. I'm not gonna go super deep into it right now because we have so much to cover, but basically the quality of the mic, it has some, let's call it secret sauce. If you're not familiar with it, it has something called built-in analog compression. And there is compression added to everything, every song that you hear, every podcast, but it's oftentimes done in post. So someone came up with the idea, hey, why don't we build that thing into the mic that everyone puts on all of their audio, so that when you record, you're actually getting it and you're saving yourself time on the back end, basically having to add it. So yeah, those are the 3 elements of my stream right now. I got my old webcam, I got my high mic, I got a ring light. But next, I want to talk about platforms. We got Facebook Live, we've got Instagram Live. Instagram Live, just quickly to touch on something that it has that's unique. It gives that FOMO feeling, like that. If you guys are not familiar with the term FOMO, it's the fear of missing out. Whenever you go live on Instagram, all of the people that are following you get an instant notification, a pop-up notification saying, hey, this person's live, as to where they could very easily miss a post and might not ever see it show up in their feed. When someone goes live, that push notification is getting sent out to everyone that follows them. And so you have the ability to save any video that you do to your story, but people oftentimes don't do that. So with Instagram and Instagram Live, you have this feeling of like, if I don't watch this, I might not get to see it. So there is an appeal. Most of these have a different type of appeal, but that is definitely the appeal that I see with Instagram Live. It's probably the easiest of everything I'm mentioning. But yeah, you've got YouTube, you've got Skype, Zoom. Zoom has just exploded, it seems like, overnight, and has all these people using it to the point where as of yesterday, they actually sent out a notification to everyone that subscribed to them saying, hey, we are just so taxed on bandwidth right now, we can't even keep up with it. So we're gonna have to dial back the offerings basically for all Zoom users. So you can't do any HD video in Zoom anymore. So that's not just the video from your camera, that's if you're sharing. If you're playing a video on your computer and you're sharing your desktop screen, it's a no-go. We were actually trying it yesterday and I was like, darn. So I have a feeling we're probably going to see a lot of that from these companies because like everyone on the planet, hashtag social distancing, it's getting crazy. You're probably going to see some of the offerings and features be pulled back because they just don't have the bandwidth to support it. That said, we're going to get into a couple good alternative options as well if you're running into that issue. Google Hangouts, Twitch, Mixer, there are a million gaming platforms, right? This last one that I want to mention is one that has surprised a lot of people I've been working with recently. It's called Restream.io. Now, what Restream allows you to do is instead of streaming to a specific platform, like right now we're streaming to YouTube, instead of streaming to one platform, Restream allows you to basically stream to multiple platforms at the same time. So you stream your feed to Restream and they redistribute it to all the platforms that you have set up. Now let's talk about some of the different scenarios for streaming. So you've got, and this one's popped up a lot recently, especially for us because we have so many people we work with that are musicians. One of the scenarios that's been popping up a ton is how to play music live and how to do it with multiple musicians who are all remote. We're definitely going to get into that one because that one's really fun. Vlogging is another big one. Just the people who are doing the daily kind of updates, like, hey, this is the food I'm eating. Hey, this is how I do my yoga. Let's be real, we've all seen it. So you've got the vlogging. You've got gaming. That's a huge one. It's crazy. Like I'd say, I don't know, a massive amount of the internet bandwidth is being taken up by gaming and streaming stuff. It's really wild. You've got sales. So here's a live streaming platform that not a lot of people think about. Amazon actually has a live streaming platform. So if you are someone who is manufacturing or selling products, you can go to amazon.com/live, create a free account, and without any limits, you can stream as often as you want for as long as you want. Then you've got remote voiceovers. So this is something that's been popping up a ton. I've also been working with a lot of voiceover artists who the studios basically tell them, hey, if you're not able to do this really cool thing that I'll talk about later remotely, it's called Source Connect. If you're not able to give us a Source Connect feed, then we're not going to hire you right now. So that's pretty wild. That's a huge change in the way that the voiceover market has always kind of operated. So pretty wild. And if you're a voiceover person or you're interested in getting into Source Connect, we are definitely covering that because it's really cool. Bob is actually in the chat right now. I noticed him earlier, Bob Clearmountain. For those of you who don't know, woo, what's up, Bob? We did a Source Connect recording yesterday. If you're not aware, we actually started a podcast recently and it's really cool. If you haven't heard it, you should definitely go check it out. You can check it out really on any of the major podcasting platforms, whether it's Apple's or Spotify or wherever. Stitcher, there are tons of them. So just type in Clear Mountains Domain and give us a listen and, do us a favor, drop us a like. We'd appreciate it. But we wanted to record a special message for the episode that's coming out in this next week, just kind of given the current climate, right? What everyone's going through. So we wanted to do something special because we recorded that episode a while back, before everyone was quarantined at home. So we actually used Source Connect to record amazing quality audio with no latency. It was all in real time. So pretty amazing. There's a whole world of possibilities there, and that may be one of the topics for next week. And then another huge one, and the last one I'm going to talk about as far as scenarios go, is education. So many teachers, and not even just for schools, but so many teachers are no longer able to work one-on-one or in a group setting in classrooms, right? Because again, #social distancing. So a lot of teachers have actually started to resort to doing these live streams where they're interacting, whether it's through a Zoom call or there are a whole bunch of different ways, but they're basically interacting and teaching their students remotely. You also have people doing lessons, like guitar lessons. You have people that are doing life coaching and counseling and all. There's so many different types of scenarios that kind of fall under that. But again, all of that is encompassed under the live streaming, or I guess you could say also like conferencing scenario. So, but I want to jump into some good live streaming etiquette, because this is something, like I said earlier, if you weren't in here, everyone and their brother and their mailman and everyone is doing live streams right now, right? And there are so many people that do these live streams, and I'm like, why are you doing that? One that drives me nuts is this right here. When someone is doing a live stream from their phone and you feel like you're on a motion ride, it's like, dude, get a stabilizer. These are just a list of things that are very important when you're doing a live stream to keep in mind. One of the big ones that I see is probably the biggest culprit of kind of breaking the rules is audio quality. Audio quality is so drastically important, and I'm sure you guys have heard the saying, because people have been saying it for years, and it's so true. It's really easy nowadays, especially, to get high quality video, right? But low quality audio is the biggest tell of a low budget film. The audio quality is a major aspect of putting out a high quality live stream. So to achieve the audio quality that you're hearing right now, there are a handful of different elements in it, but obviously, like I touched on earlier, the biggest factor for me right now is I'm using Hype Mic. I've got the built-in analog compression. I'm running out of the USB port right into my computer, which is feeding right to my stream. And then I have headphones plugged in. I'm just using, like my in-ears, but you could use anything. You could use like Apple earbuds if you want. I mean, come on, who doesn't have like 15 of these sitting in their drawer at home? But it gives you the ability to monitor your audio, and then there's a great blend mode that I have turned on that allows me to hear a blend between direct monitoring, which is what I'm feeding to the mic, as well as what I need to hear back from the source. So essentially, not to get too nerdy, but this is actually an audio interface, because you've got your input, you've got your output, you've got mic pre's in here, you've got compression. I mean, holy moly. Now, if you're using a Hype Mic or a Mic Plus for your streaming, there is something that I just want to point out here. Go get yourself a roll of gaff tape. This is just a little sample that I recorded earlier. I want you to pay attention to something when I hit play. Notice my mouth is lighting up green. Basically, anytime you have a microphone with LEDs on it and it's monitoring live, you're going to get a light shining on your face when you're doing a live stream. So what I do is I just take a little bit of gaff tape, and once I got my mic settings all dialed in, I just cover the LEDs so that obviously, like right now, you don't see that weird, flashing light on my face, because it kind of looks a little awkward. So you also want to consider audio interfaces. Depending on the type of stream you're doing, you might have multiple inputs, right? You might have, let's say, multiple audio sources, multiple microphones, or maybe you're doing a concert where you're singing and playing and you want to record your instrument and you want to record your vocals. That's when you get into the territory of an audio interface. I know that's probably not new news to you for a lot of you guys, but this is kind of the 101. So I just want to talk about some of the good etiquette and gear that's associated with it. But so microphones and audio interfaces. Now, for microphones, there are a couple that I just want to recommend. First one, obviously, is the one that I'm using right now, which is why I'm using it. I have all three that I'm going to be talking about, but this one, it's the most expensive between the three, but it's also got, the most beneficial features, which being the compression. It's money. Next one I want to talk about is this guy right here. So this is called Clip Mic, and it's basically a lavalier mic that allows you to connect directly to the lightning port of your iOS device, iPhone, iPod, or iPad. Really amazing audio quality, and I want to show you how I set this up. Most people would just use this little attachment here and clip it onto their shirt, right? Oops, wrong one. Clip it onto their shirt like that. That's fine. You can totally do that, but I'm gonna give you guys a little inside tip here. What I like to do is I slide the clip down so you can see that little clip that I was just squeezing is no longer there. And I like to take the capsule off the top. Again, this is not like an Apogee sanctioned technique. This is just something that I do whenever I record with it. Then I go back to my handy dandy gaff tape, and I make these little tape triangles. Now here's why. You want to make a tape triangle like that, but you actually want to make it in reverse where the sticky side is out. I would just like tape it like right, you can't really see, let me move this. I would like tape it under there, and then it would be covered by my shirt. The other reason I like to do that, it reduces the sound of rumble. So you don't get that sound of like clothing rubbing against, because you've actually covered off the sides of the mic with tape, and it sounds really, really good. So the name of the lavalier is Clip Mic. It's by Apogee. We make it, so you can head over to our website and find Apogee Clip Mic, because it's a mic that clips right on. Depending on what you're recording, there are different microphones for different scenarios. You wouldn't use the clip mic if you were recording multiple people, right? You'd use it to record your audio. So there are kind of different options for everything. If you get an Apogee 1, it's got a built-in microphone that sounds incredible. It connects directly to iOS devices as well as to your Mac. And the 1 is a little deceiving because you can actually record two things at one time. You can use an external mic or the internal mic and the instrument input on it at the same time. I know, mind blown, right? Crazy. So 1 is the Swiss Army knife. We all call it that. It's the Swiss Army knife of our product lineup. Also, there are 2 more. Mic Plus, which is essentially hype mic without the compression. And then last one, this one is it's really a cool device. This guy right here, this is the Ambio Smart Headset. Basically, it looks like little earbuds, and so you'd loop them around each ear like I'm doing right now. What's unique about it is on the back of each earpiece right here, this little grate, that's actually a microphone. It gives you the ability to capture 3-dimensional or binaural audio. It gives people the feeling of being in that exact environment. So if you are streaming something that is intended to capture the environment, what better way to do it than with 3D sound? Oh, I'm so glad I didn't move on. There's such a huge one. Oh, do I have one close by? I don't think I do. Apogee Jam. So Apogee Jam Plus, you can find that on our website as well. There are a crazy increasing amount of people who are using Jam Plus to capture the audio from their microphone. If you have a microphone already and you're just trying to find a way to capture the audio from your microphone, get an Apogee Jam Plus. I think it's our least expensive product in the lineup, which is crazy. And it gives you the ability to capture to all iOS devices as well as to your desktop or laptop, Windows and Mac. I know, crazy. Our other interfaces, Duet, Quartet, and up and so forth along the line of products, give you the ability to record one or multiple instruments or mic inputs. So I went way longer on that one than I thought, but we just make so many cool things. Next one, video quality. Obviously, I'm not killing the video quality game right now, but at least I'm killing the audio quality game. What? Video is, boy, there are tons of different types of cameras out there. It depends on what you are kind of intending long-term for your stream. Are you looking to purchase certain pieces of gear and develop your streaming setup over time? If so, it's probably worth investing in a higher quality camera. Blackmagic makes a bunch of them. Sony makes one that I'm actually really interested in right now. I really want to get the A7S II or maybe the 3. So we'll see how that works out. But what you've got to keep in mind is when you start to upgrade the quality of your video, there are a lot of elements that are kind of a ripple effect that are tied to that. So you have the lenses. When you get a high quality camera, you're looking at getting lenses as well. You're looking at getting video capture cards, which if you're looking for one, I recommend the Elgato Stream Link. It is basically just a little USB stick that takes the HDMI feed out of your camera, and it's like a little mirrorless capture card for your camera. It's really cool, and it's simple, and it's super affordable and very high quality, easy to use, all that good stuff. There are options for using, just so you know, your iOS device camera. I don't feel that it's the best option, but again, you got to work with what you got. If you want to use your camera, maybe we'll briefly touch on that in detail. I'll briefly touch on it now. We'll go into detail later, but you have the ability to either do one of the following: wirelessly connect your camera's feed to an application that is definitely a next week topic called OBS, or you can plug the Lightning port into, or connect the iPhone via Lightning to your computer and actually feed video straight into an app like OBS as well. That is if you're obviously streaming from your computer, but wanting to use your camera or your phone as a camera. Okay, lighting. I mentioned earlier that I have the ring light, or a ring light. I don't even know if there's an actual brand of ring light. If there is, I don't have the actual brand. I got some generic one. I think it's a 12 inch. It's either 10 inch or 12 inch. Like I said, it was like, I don't know, 15 bucks. I think maybe 18 on Amazon, and it's great. It's got this little control surface that gives me the ability to change the color of the light and the brightness of the light. So I'm going to cycle through a couple of the different modes of color, and you'll see it make a little bit of an effect, but not a ton because I don't have it turned up too bright right now. But you can see there's like a kind of a yellow filter. There's a super white one, and then there's kind of a neutral one, and then you can turn the brightness up or down. I have it very low, and right now I'm not using my light as a direct feed to my face. So that oftentimes is going to give you more harsh results unless you have it on a very low setting. But if you're like me, you run into a problem where you have glasses and the reflection is like really intense. And if I'm looking into the camera, you're gonna see so much. And you guys, I'm sure, can already see a lot of reflection on my lenses. It's one of the struggles that us glasses wearers deal with. But there are a couple things to keep in mind here with lighting. So the first one is, if you're lighting a face, you never want it to be exactly the same color on both sides of your face. You don't, or exactly the same lighting on both sides of the face. The general practice is to have one side that's just a little bit less lit. It adds a little bit of shading on one side of the face, and it just gives more dimension. When everything's lit perfectly and exactly the same, it looks very flat. So you'll notice, now that I've said that, go any TV show. When you're binging Netflix later tonight, you'll notice that every single person's face is a little darker on one side. It's because it just looks good. So another thing too, when it comes to lighting, this is just like, it's the most simple thing that a lot of people don't think about. If you're running a 2-monitor, like a 2-screen setup for your computer, you're in a good place because it's way easier to do this next technique with 2 screens, but you can actually light yourself with your monitor. And I do it all the time. Whenever I'm doing streams, I light myself with my monitor. I don't have my dual monitor set up right now, but I need to order a new bracket. But yeah, it's a great technique. So watch, I have, you'll see this happen. I have a white page. It's just my notes on the screen. Watch what happens when I get rid of that white page. You're gonna see the lighting change. So I actually use just anything white on my second display when I have it set up to light one side of me a little bit more. And it's subtle, it's gentle, and it's really easy to do. So things you wanna do is make sure you turn off dark mode if you're running that on your computer, because dark mode is not gonna help you if you're trying to light yourself with a monitor. And the other thing is, depending on your monitor, just be very aware of the setting that you have the brightness at on your monitor, because you can like easily way overdo it. And the worst thing to do is like super overdo lighting. This is a perfect example of like way overdoing it. So if I turn this around here, and I see this all the time, I'm like, what are you doing with your life? They're like, hi guys. And it's like, are you like auditioning to be on America's Next Ghost? What is happening right now? So don't do this. No. Enough said. So yeah, you've got, if you can get like some kind of lighting. Also, if you're looking to pick up some lighting, and you're looking for a good recommendation, the ring lighting is great, it's cheap. There is a really cool option from Elgato. They actually make 2 different key lights that are phenomenal. I really want to pick one up, but I guess they're obviously really hard to get right now, but keep your eye out for that. Elgato, by the way, is Elgato. You can head over to their website and get super well lit. So internet connection is so important, you guys. And obviously the entire internet, it feels like, is taking a gigantic toll because the consumption of all online content is like never before. It is outrageous. So there are going to be bandwidth issues from time to time. I don't know how this is coming across for you guys, so it'll be interesting to see what some of the feedback is afterwards, but I'm actually streaming at the highest possible frame rate that I can stream at, which this is about 4 times higher than the streams that we typically do, but I tried it out earlier and it was working as far as bitrate goes anyway. And so that is one of the things that plays into that is my internet speed. So I have really good internet at home. If you don't have good internet, which obviously is the place that a lot of people are at, like they're really simple things, guys. Okay, first off, like hardwire in, just plug it in. I know everyone hates cables, but it's so important. If you're doing a live stream from your computer, there's no point in sending your entire feed over the airwaves. Just plug it in. If your router isn't close, you have a couple options. Go get a long Ethernet cable, get one on Amazon for like $10, or get like a inline, what's it called? A power line adapter. So a lot of people don't know that the actual like electrical cabling inside of your house, for the most part, it's really, you got the same kind of thing going on as with an Ethernet cable. So you can actually run your internet through your existing electrical wiring inside of your house. And those cost like $60 to pick up probably. I think I've seen them for like 40 on Amazon. You plug one into the power right by your router and run an Ethernet cable into that, and then you plug another one in by your computer if they're in like completely different rooms and the Ethernet cable, the long one isn't an option. You can do that and it will definitely help. So very important internet connection. Also, kick everyone off the internet. If you got internet bandwidth issues at home, make sure you don't have like 17 Netflix streams going and, you know, like every device that exists, like, you know, you own the last 7 iPads, 7 generations, and like your last 8 phones are still all connected and charging somehow. Just turn all those off. This one is huge. This is, I'm glad I took notes. I'd forgot like most of this, but when to face the camera and when not to face the camera. If you're directing your comments towards the people in your stream, you face your camera. If you're working on something and letting people observe, you face away. What drives me nuts is this. It's just weird. You're like, hey guys, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. You're like, well, hello, over here. Like, eyes up here. What are you doing? If you're doing a live stream, test the stream before you go live. Almost every platform gives you the ability to do a test stream. Now, there are some that do not. Instagram, perfect example. Can't do a test stream. So what do? You just make a dummy account. I did it today in like 2 minutes, and you can do a test stream. It's really easy. So test your video. You're gonna find things wrong all the time, okay? You're gonna have instances where the audio and the video don't sync up, or where the audio level is messed up, or you're dropping frames and you need to adjust your bit rate, and just do a test stream. Enough said. This one, we've all seen it, and it's just annoying, right? When you're like watching someone who's filming themselves, they're streaming from their camera, and it's like you're on a motion ride because they're like doing this. And the thing that cracks me up, I love this, and I'm always like, why? When people start live streams from their phone in the middle of walking to a place, and it's like, obviously that's intentional. It's like, why not just go to the place? I guess it gives it motion. It's like, oh, this is just me casually strolling. Oh, I just started a live stream, you know? So if you're gonna do that, just buy a gimbal, buy something that's gonna balance it and not make it super shaky. If you're not moving like a normal person, just pick one of these up. Like, honestly, everyone probably has one of these already. Pick one of these up, put your phone on it, make it lit well, make it sound good. It's really easy. You could probably get this for like 15 to 20 bucks on Amazon, I'm guessing. This one is actually, it's super important, and I'm glad Betty, our CEO at Apogee, she actually reminded me of this one, and it's a huge factor. That is the room that you're in. Okay, so pay attention to the way that the room sounds. We may dive deeper into the acoustics and treatment of a room at some point. But that one, I don't know. It's probably gonna be a few weeks down the road if we do. But if you're in a super echoey room, all you gotta do is like hang a blanket. You can see what my friend did. I'm just gonna scooch this right over here and I'll hide my camera. So in her bedroom, she basically put this like flexible curtain rod. You can see it running along the top of the ceiling here. And she just did it in a little circle and ordered some curtains. And when she wants to record, she pulls it around and makes a little vocal booth. And these are like velvet curtains. I think probably on this whole thing, she spent maybe $100. Don't just do a live stream like in the most echoey room ever. If you're doing a test stream ahead of time and you somehow didn't know your room was very, reverberant, you can find out by doing a test stream. So this is the last one as far as etiquette goes. Know the platform you're streaming to. So there are a million platforms. If you guys go to Apogee's website and you go to the registration page for this series of streams that we'll be doing, there's an area where you can leave feedback and ask questions that you want me to answer. If we get enough questions asking about certain platforms, we'll dive into them. But the thing is, there are so many platforms and each one has so many specific details. But here's why I say it's important to understand the platform you're streaming to. If you're doing an Amazon live stream, Amazon live streams, at least the last time I checked, this may have changed, but there are other platforms that do the same thing. They only allow for 720p. If you're sending a 1080p stream, you're causing issues that are going to cause buffering when people are watching. And then they're just going to leave because it's annoying. They'd rather go to a stream that isn't buffering. If you're, let's say, doing a live stream on mobile, if the platform you're streaming to doesn't allow for horizontally oriented video, then don't hold your phone horizontally. It's really important to make sure that you have the correct orientation for the platform you're posting to. All right, so that's it for the etiquette. I hope some of that helped. Live streaming equipment, just to recap, you have cameras, microphones, audio interfaces, lighting, and environment. Those, when I say equipment, environment could be if you need to buy a track railing to hang curtains, or you need to get some acoustic panels, or that kind of stuff. So that's kind of like generally the equipment that you would need, the main stuff you'd need, and then it just becomes cosmetic where you can kind of like spice up your room and do cool things. All right, so we're gonna jump into two setups: how to set up your streaming account and how to actually stream on Instagram. The other one is Zoom. So again, probably most of the people in here have used Zoom and they know, they kind of get it, but there might be a couple things that you pick up along the way that help. So in my Instagram example, I am going to be using a clip mic. So here's the process and done. All you gotta do to go live, you've got the mic connected here through the lightning port, right? When you want to go live, you do the same thing that you would do if you wanted to post a video, and you just click on the camera icon in the upper left-hand corner. And then you can see a whole bunch of options appear here. So, like I can scroll all the way to the left and I have the option for live. If I want to go live, I hit that and it says checking connection. You're live. I'm live streaming a live stream. How wild is this, you guys? So there's Instagram. If you got any questions, let me know. We're gonna jump over to Zoom. Here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna head to Zoom. Zoom.us. So you can see the large orange button in the upper right-hand corner. Sign up, it's free, all caps. If you want to create an account, click on that, fill out the requested information, and then it's going to, after completing your registration process, it's going to take you to a page that gives you a link to download. So you're going to download the Zoom app. Now you have two options when streaming on Zoom. You can stream through your web browser, or you can stream through the app. Here is the Zoom app. Now you have a few different options for starting meetings. You have the orange one that says new meeting, right? And then you can join a meeting, and then you can schedule a meeting. If I click on new meeting, what I'm doing is creating a new meeting that I want to start right now. If I hit join meeting and I put my pin in that I just had in that other drop down, I'm still starting a meeting. If you want to schedule a daily, weekly, monthly, whatever, you can actually schedule one and send out reminders through the schedule button. So let's go ahead and hit new meeting. And when you're starting a Zoom call, now this will happen regardless of if you are the one who set up the meeting or if you're someone joining a meeting that was already set up. You have a phone call, so that here are dial-in numbers. You have computer audio. Now, if you have, a good sounding microphone, you would probably want to use the option here that says join with computer audio. Okay, but if you do that, you're jumping right in and you might not have configured it properly. So it's best to go test speaker and microphone first. So I'm not feeding the audio that I'm hearing in my headphones because I have hype mic set as my input and output. I'm not feeding that back. I had the ability to test and make sure I could hear and that that my hype mic was picking me up. So my hype mic is set as my input and output, right? If you could hear what was coming through your headphones that are connected to hype mic and you could hear your voice, which was being picked up by hype mic, then you are ready to go. You're going to hit join with computer audio and join with computer audio, and bada bing, bada boom, we are live in a Zoom meeting by ourselves. There's not a whole lot to it. Zoom has a whole bunch of cool options, which we could dive into if a bunch of you want to know more about them in the future. Like you can record your meetings, you can hide video, you can mute, you can unmute, you can allow people to enter your meeting the second they get there, or you can put a setting on where they have to be admitted in. But yeah, that's about it. So I'm gonna go ahead and end this meeting. Yep, end meeting for all one of me. And let's hop back over to OBS and bring the camera up. And there you go, guys. So that is the process. Zoom, as well as a handful of other platforms, are getting pretty taxed and overwhelmed. So I'm going to throw out a couple recommendations that I love. I'll just throw this out there. I'm not going to get into how to do it, but it is so simple you can figure it out, and that is Source Connect. This is the Source Elements webpage, which is source-elements, or I'm Source Connect, sorry. source-elements.com. You're gonna go to products, and what you want to use is Source Elements Meet. There we go. So you basically have the ability to, for free, use this video conferencing service from Source Element, and it sounds and looks incredible. The video quality and the audio quality, in my opinion, are so much better than they are with any of the other services I've used. But that is it for today's stream, guys. Whew, that was a lot of talking. First off, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you hanging out. I hope this has been helpful for you. And I know this is a long stream. I don't think the intention is to do them this long, but we just barely even scratched the surface, and I feel like we could go for days. Enjoy your next quarantine week. Live your best quarantine life. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Catch you next time.